Hello and welcome to Quest Network Services. Today we're going to take a regular hard drive from a Dell laptop and we're going to install a solid state hard drive, but so we don't lose any of the information that's on this computer, we're just going to clone the hard drive very easily so that we are basically upgrading the computer from a traditional hard drive to a solid state hard drive. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to turn off the computer. As you can see, it's running really slow. So some of the benefits of using a solid state drive versus a traditional hard drive is Windows 10 will run typically much better on a solid state drive versus a traditional hard drive. When I say traditional hard drive, I mean the kind of hard drive that basically has a spinning disk in it. So this is a traditional hard drive. There's a disk inside here that spins, and it goes anywhere between like 5,200 RPMs to maybe 7,200 RPMs. The problem is accessing the data from here takes time because the disk has to spin and the computer has to find the information, whereas a solid state drive, because it's solid state, has no moving parts in it and will find the data much quicker. So to give you an idea, Windows 10 installed on one of these drives over time will progressively get slower, and sometimes it could take up to 5 minutes in some cases to boot, whereas with a solid state hard drive it narrowly cuts it down to about 15 seconds. So once the computer is turned off, we're going to unplug it and take the battery out. You want to make sure there's no power sources going to the computer before you take the old hard drive out. You want to make sure the computer shuts down properly before attempting to do the cloning process. Okay, now that the computer is turned off, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the battery. And that can be done simply by releasing those latches, pulling up on here, and we're going to set the battery aside. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to unscrew this panel here, and we're going to set the screw aside. Make sure you keep track of where the screws go, so when it comes time to putting it back, you know where everything goes. Now that the panel's been removed, we're going to take these 3 screws out to remove the existing hard drive. Alrighty, so this comes out and the drive slides out. So this is the traditional hard drive. This is a 1 terabyte Samsung hard drive, and when you're cloning the system, the key is the drive that you're cloning to has to be either the same size or larger, otherwise this will not work. So if you bought a 500 gig hard drive and you're trying to take the source drive, which is a 1 terabyte drive, and cloning it to a 500 gig drive, it just won't work because the size has to be either the same or the new drive has to be larger. So keep that in mind when you're purchasing your solid state drives, that you make them the same size as the existing one, otherwise it won't work. So the next step is we're going to take out our hard drive cloning dock. Okay, so to make this easier, we're using what's called a hard drive cloning dock. Now you can find these online, you can purchase them, or you might be able to find them at your local computer store like a Best Buy or a Micro Center. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to take the original drive and put it in the first slot, which is slot A, and you're going to take your solid state drive, and as you can see it looks a little different than your traditional hard drive. There's no spinning disk. And we're going to put that in slot B. Once the drives are in place, we're going to then plug in the power, which is pretty much in the back of the dock here. So make sure the switch is in the off position. Plug in the power. Then we're going to spin this around here so we can see the lights in the front. And now we're going to turn it on. And once we get a blue light, we will know that we are good to go. Okay, the blue lights are on the front, and we got a green power light on, and that basically indicates that the system is ready. So the blue lights on the left and the right, the front, maybe you can't really see it very well with the camera here, they basically indicate that the drives are ready. Let's see, does that help? Well, there's a blue light here and a blue light here. According to the manufacturer's instructions, you're to press and hold this button down until you get a blue indicator light, and then press it again, and now the cloning has begun. So we're going to go ahead and pause the recording now, and once everything has been cloned completely, we'll install the hard drive, boot the system up, and make sure that we have a successful cloned hard drive. Okay, and as now you can see, all the lights are lit up, which indicates that the clone is now finished. So the next step for us to do is to turn off the cloning dock, which we're going to do by turning off the switch in the back. And then it's now safe to remove the drives, so we're going to pull them out one by one. And we're going to now install the drive, the clone drive that is, into the system. Okay, so now here we are at the system just like we had left it before, and the next step now is we're going to take the solid state drive and we're going to flip it over here, and we're going to attach the drive cage, as they say. There's a little bit of adhesive up here that you could just press down lightly. Basically, you want to make sure that this end is going to fit in this end, and as you can see from the side here, the shorter plug is towards us and the larger one is towards the back, and then that will pretty much match in with the way the drive goes in. So we're going to go ahead and screw this in. Okay, we got the first one in there. Now we're going to go ahead and put the second one in here. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and gently slide this in. Okay, we got the drive in there, and now we're going to put the screw that holds it into the system here, and then we're going to go ahead and replace the cover and screw the cover into place here. Now that the cover is in place, it is safe to put the battery back into the system here, and we're going to go ahead and flip this around. And we're going to go ahead and plug in our system. Alright, we're going to go ahead and open this up. And now we're going to go ahead and turn it on. And if the clone was successful, it should boot into Windows, so let's go see what happens. Now, what's probably going to happen is Windows now realizes, oh, the hardware is a little different here, so it may start what's called an automatic repair. So it's going to basically repair Windows so that it sees that the hardware is new, and it'll adjust itself accordingly. So we're going to let that run. Now we have a diagnosing your PC, which basically it's looking at that this is a new hard drive, and it's going to set up everything accordingly. Okay, you might get this message, repairing disk errors. This might take over an hour to complete. Again, Windows realizes it's on a new device and it's trying to fix itself so that it works properly on the new hard drive. It's nothing to be alarmed about. It's probably not going to take an hour to complete. It's just Windows being Windows. So we'll let that run. All right, and now Windows is booting up normally. That took probably about maybe 5 minutes in real time. So it wasn't terribly long, but again, it's Windows is basically realizing, oh, I'm on a different device, I need to set myself up with that new device. Every piece of hardware that you have in your system has its own unique identifier, and Windows realizes that identifier is different now than what it was on the traditional hard drive. So it's basically just adjusting itself to it. I will say the cloning process does take time, but it's a lot easier doing the cloning process than trying to reinstall Windows from scratch, reinstalling all of your programs from scratch, transferring all your files. That takes a lot longer than it would be just to clone the drive. Also to keep in mind, the larger the hard drive is, the longer it takes to clone. So if you have a 1 terabyte drive, which is what's in this system here, it could take several hours to clone. Whereas if you have a 500 gig drive or 256 gig drive, it will not be as long. And if you have a 2 terabyte drive, it'll be even longer. So keep that in mind as you're cloning your system. And also keep in mind that, you know, every system is different. So this is an older Dell Inspiron. It originally came with Windows 7. Okay, now once you've got your new cloned drive installed, you're going to want to run Windows updates just to make sure your system is fully up to date and it takes on the new hardware that we've installed. So we're going to go into the Start menu, click on Settings, which is a little gear, and we're going to go ahead and click on Update and Security. Okay, and we're going to then go ahead and click Check for Updates. Alright, it says your device is missing important security and quality fixes. So we're going to go ahead and let that run. And once we get everything fully up to date, we'll reboot the system, and then you'll be able to see just how fast now the system runs compared to before. Okay, now that the new cloned hard drive is installed and Windows is booted, let's do a quick reboot and see how it restarts. So this is going to be in real time here. So I'm going to go ahead and restart the computer. Alrighty, we've got the login screen there, and it's automatically logging in. And there we go. Desktop is up and running, and now the machine is running so much faster. Alright, so there you have it. Basically, swapping out a traditional hard drive with a solid state drive. So I hope you found that informational and educational, and if you have any questions or issues, please feel free to reach out if this is something you're trying yourself, and we'll be sure to help you out. And like I said, this is not the standard case for every computer, because This machine just happens to have a panel in the back that gives you easy access to the hard drive and the memory. There are other systems out there that don't. And for an example here, we have, here's a Lenovo system, where as you can see, there is no panel. So in order to replace the hard drive in a system like this, you literally would have to take the whole thing apart. And that can be a little daunting, especially because there are different size screws that you have to keep track of where they came from. For those cases, I suggest you just give us a call and let us do that for you, and then you can save the hassle of accidentally breaking something or losing a screw or something of that nature. But again, Chris from Quest Network Services here. Hopefully you found this video interesting, and if you like what you see and you like more videos like this, please feel free to subscribe and like this video, and we'll see you next time. Thanks again.